So at the end of the previous quest, after you're split up and everything, after the end of the world and rebirth of the world, you can just find Orlin back where you first found her.
This world is like a story, a tale that never ends. How can I be of assistance?
There's something about finding her back where you first met her that, one, just it makes sense from a programming standpoint, and two, there's something that feels very poetic about it.
Then I shall be your light.
So, that I do like.
An amulet of Mara? Surely you wouldn't be interested in this reclusive philosopher.
Interested in me? Are you?
I am indeed. The real question is, would you be interested in a life together?
It fills me with joy to hear you with
Well,
child,
technically, I guess it'd be more of a
They said it
commitment
wouldn't,
for
but it
me
couldn't
than it is
happen.
for you, because it would be the rest
Mara
of
has
my
shown
life,
their mistake.
which is,
And to think I
well,
was
my life's
wandering
gonna end
the
well
wash waste
before
only 2 years ago.
yours. But
I
yes,
knew my path
I would be more than interested.
You were
Good.
guided here.
As long as we have each
You were
other,
always meant to be
nothing
here.
else matters.
That's the way of things.
And I
Well,
thank Lady Maro
it's a
with all
good
my
thing we're
heart
already in Riften. It's a good
for
thing that
you,
Maramal's right
for
here.
our child.
Sorry
and for
to
our
interrupt
love.
you two. I'd like to have a wedding at the temple.
You wish to be married? It's good to see love blossoming even during these difficult times. Your wedding will be held tomorrow, from dawn until dusk.
Beautiful.
Don't be late. You don't want to miss your own wedding.
Now, the
May
real
you return
question
to
I
her
have
benevolence in
is,
safety.
will Orlin change into something else, or is she just going to wear her armor?
How can I be of assistance?
Because if that's the case, if she's not going to change, I'll just put her back into her dress now. Or, here's the thing. I'll change her into her dress, and then, if she does change into something else, then, you know, everything's just all set anyway. Oh! I'm curious if, she has anything else to say about our relationship now.
We now walk with the companions of Ysgramor, seeking honour and glory,
Well, okay.
while I hold no love for the genocidal harbinger of us all. His fire seems to have cooled throughout these long centuries, and this generation redeems themselves well enough. Our example will be instrumental to the new recruits of Jorvaska.
Not necessarily where I was going with that, but okay.
Then tell me your thoughts, and I shall spin them into a grand song.
The other thing is, I wonder if there's anything else she'll say about this now. I've noticed how beautiful you are. Which, now that we're engaged, yeah, I feel like it's normal for me to say that.
Well, aren't you the romantic one?
There you go.
I assure you, my current feelings about you run quite deep, but purely in the professional sense.
Wait. Wait, we're engaged, though. What's the professional sense, then? Alright, back in her dress. Even if she doesn't change into anything else, honestly,
Darkness part before us.
that's fitting as a wedding dress. It's white, mostly, so, I think it works. Like the previous videos, I will have the guide, for how to trigger these quests in the description. For this, you need to wait a certain amount of days. You also need to have had the conversation with her about her true outfit, the red robe that we saw in the Darkest Awakening quest.
Ah, here's the proud groom now. Let's begin the ceremony. It was Mara that first gave birth to all of creation and pledged to watch over us as her children.
I definitely should have
It
changed.
is
That's
from
on
her
me.
love of us that we first learned to love one another. It is from this love that we learn that a life lived alone is no life at all. We gather here today under Mara's loving gaze to bear witness to the union of two souls in eternal companionship.
One of them's more eternal
May
than the
they
other.
journey forth together in this life and in the next, in prosperity and poverty, and in joy and hardship. Do you agree to be bound together in love, now and forever?
I do, now and forever.
Do you agree to be bound together in love, now and forever?
I do. Now and forever.
Under the authority of Mara, the divine of love, I declare this couple to be wed. I present the two of you with these matching rings, blessed by Mara's divine grace. May they protect each of you in your new life together.
This is the happiest day of my life. Where shall we live? My home is your home now, of course.
Okay, and this is when I get proper access to her quarters in High Hrothgar. Living with you would be perfect.
I'll see you at our new home shortly.
And I think she then goes there on her own?
What is war but a way of life?
Okay, no, she's
a fire
still
that starts in the heart
following me.
and spreads to the hand that wields the sword.
Okay, she's still following me even though it said your follower leaves your service. Alright.
Let's get going then.
I actually wasn't sure if this quest was going to be in the mod, so I wasn't sure if the marriage was actually going to be available. Because while it was listed in the quest guide, on the mod page itself or in the comments, it said that the marriage had been removed temporarily and there hadn't been any update, or it didn't look like there was any update indicating that it had been brought back. So this is actually a little bit of a nice surprise. So what I'll do is I will take us back to High Hrothgar. We'll properly see her home, our home now, and see if there's anything else to be said or done there. Alright, nope, You know how some people get woken up by roosters crowing? We're gonna get woken up by the graybeards just shouting at the sky. Oh. Wait, so I still don't have the key for that?
Dragonborn, what do you need?
Well, in that case...
Certainly, dearest.
Ooh, there you go. Now,
Guide my hand.
now I need to ask her what she thinks of our relationship. Perfect.
Do you require further assistance?
No, you never gave me a key. Well?
So, what now? Of course. What's on your mind?
Now let's try this. I've noticed how beautiful you are.
Why, thank you. That's rather sweet of you, dear.
There you go. There you go.
Darkness part before us.
Yeah, let me take a look around, because I think there's also supposed to be a couple other things that you get from, the marriage with her.
Then speak your mind, and I shall do the same, for here lies the last sanctuary of hopes and dreams.
Oh, this is new. Do you really love me? After all, you must have loved and lost before.
I do, with all my heart and soul. We are as twin rays of light on an endless voyage to the stars, and our passion is as an entwined fire that never dies. Our bond is beyond logic or reason, for we are the only things that are real in the eyes of the other, and shine with a radiance visible only to the same. Nothing in any world can sway me from this, nor you, and we shall have each other for an eternity.
The other thing I should note is that I kept on making the joke of, oh, she's gonna live well past me. I don't actually know how long she's gonna live, because I don't know if she's immortal anymore with the end of the Godhead, as it was implied by her last quest or previous quest. She would still outlive me because she's an Altmer, or an Aldmer, but I don't think she would live forever anymore. Okay, so this is one of the new options. After you marry her, you can ask her to change her form. And there is her true form, the red robes.
Stars above guide us.
As you can see, her hair is clipping through the hood. And one thing I noticed for why it didn't clip through her hood, or why she didn't clip through the hood in the quest that we had with her, was because it was a different character model during her quest. It was essentially a vanilla appearance version of her during her quest, so you might even notice in the thumbnail from last week that she looked slightly different.
You and I, we're the only people in Skyrim worth loving. That's what I think.
Damn, alright. Little, full of yourself, but you know what? I'm pretty lovable. And you're pretty lovable, too. Now, for the sake of just completion and going through more of the dialogue options, I do want to see what the war helmet is. Oh my god, yes. Okay, you're keeping that on for the rest of this video. I know it's not serious, I know it's just kind of a joke, but...
Time and tide.
Oh my god, yes. Yes, 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 yes. Oh, man. Now I wish it was December. Now I wish I was playing this in December. But you know what? Some stores already have Christmas decorations up, so why not start it here as well? That is great. I love that. Alright, we got one more quest, and she's gonna keep the Santa hat on for that. The Santa hat stays on. For the final quest, we are here in the Riften orphanage.
I'm right behind you.
We're gonna ask, can we talk?
Always. What shall we discuss?
Did you ever have any children of your own? Which, truthfully, maybe something I should have asked before we got married. I think you can actually do this quest before the marriage one anyway. I think this has a longer wait requirement, or a longer time traveling with her requirement, but you don't have to marry her to do this quest.
After my loss of Somnus, I thought I would never love again. Yet throughout my long wanderings, I did meet the second of my tribal Nordic companions, Derriant, who truly touched my heart. He made me happy, simply being who I am, and I thought the same of him. Many whispered follies over the top of books perched precariously high did follow, and the dates spent lounging in the Somerset sun amidst fields of clover and lavender. All seemed at peace, and we slowly began to fall in love. From this union came a daughter with crimson hair and skin as pale as the midnight shade. I taught her everything I knew of this world, but it was Derriant who named her Serenity.
So, were you a good mother? It's an interesting question to ask someone.
I was a good mother. For years I orated lessons of history, science and philosophy, while Derriant taught Serenity the more practical aspects of life, such as swordplay, adventuring and swimming. Our daughter did live in a massive library after all, so she was obsessed with books, although I did clear a space and evoke appropriate furnishings to call it home. She also longed of the world beyond the island of Somerset, especially after listening to tales of my previous adventures. Initially I was against her leaving to seek her fate elsewhere. Yet Derriant persuaded me of the contrary, and we watched as she sailed away on a ship with crimson sails after she came of age. Derriant even broke the tracking spell I placed on Serenity the night before, claiming I was being overprotective.
No, just being, cautious. You want to know that she's okay. I mean, I can see both sides of it. The real question is if she writes you or not. Did you ever see her again?
Alas, no. I stood on the shore by the Crystal Tower every Midsummer's Eve, always waiting her return. Yet she never arrived. I wept many tears into the warm sands, and knew that time could not claim her, as it had so many others. Yet there were so many dangers out in the world. Perhaps she is still out there now, always seeking my presence to feel my embrace once again, or has long since met her demise and mourned at a pauper's funeral. Yet when I look up at the stars, I see light everlasting, and know in my heart that my daughter is still out there, and still holds me ever dear, wherever she might be. Time and tide heed our call.
Well,
Go
good
on,
news for you.
Speak to the children. I'm sure they're eager to meet you.
Good news for you. She is alive, and we're gonna find her. I guess you could say it's a Christmas miracle. Serenity can be found in Blackreach at Sindarian's Field Laboratory, or at least it's where she's supposed to be. So let's find her, or
I am
hopefully...
awakened as the piercing dawn.
Hopefully find her.
Such senseless violence.
I mean, we're just defending ourselves, so there's that. In the interest of time, let me just take out the Falmer. That way there's no chance of it just coming on over and interrupting
Remember
us
that you chose this fate.
as we try to have a nice little reunion with your daughter. With your long-lost daughter of possibly thousands of years. Since you've last seen her and said hello. Hello? No? Oh. I thought she was supposed to be here. Did I read the quest wrong? Okay, if not present, wait for a bit, and she should arrive. Whew, that's relief. You're probably wondering why I have so many times she was like, oh, hold on, I'll be right back. It's because I don't always have the page up. I don't always have the browser up. I close my web browser when I'm recording, so then if I need to check it, I'll just pull it up. Yada yada. Maybe I should have put it on my phone, but that's besides the point right now. Alright, we'll just wait like 2 hours at a time, and we'll see when she gets here. The other thing to note is I don't have any mods on that should have edited Sindarian's workshop. So, hopefully she will show up. Out of curiosity, I waited maybe 2 days in game, never saw her. Just for testing purposes, I decided, oh, let me try and spawn Serenity at me using console commands, and it crashed to desktop. So, note to self, don't do that. If anything, I would consider that an instance of fuck around and find out. And find out I did. Another thing I tried, once again for testing purposes, is that fortunately the quest guide for the mod also includes the reference ID. So, out of curiosity, trying to see where she was, I tried to do player.move to Serenity, and also crashed the game. I can try and move her reference to me. I have a feeling it'll still crash it, but right now I'm just kind of doing this to see if it can help me move this along, just because I have waited a couple days in-game now and not seen her at all. Now I know that it really wouldn't make sense logistically for there to be a quest marker for Serenity, because we have no real indicator to know where she would be if she's even still alive, but I would really like if we had a quest mark right around now, because I would love to know where she was. Given that trying to spawn her at me or move to her just crashes the game immediately. So at this point, I've waited close to a week in-game. I've tried waiting in Sindarian's lab with no results at all. I've tried waiting outside of it, then going back in to see if she spawned. Nothing. I've tried several different iterations of trying to do stuff with the console commands. Either would do nothing at all, or would once again crash my game. So I'm kinda at the point now where after trying to find a way to find Serenity for the past half hour or so, and seeing that there were other people online who were having the same issue of never being able to find her at all, I think we're gonna call it here, and we're gonna instead move into our review of the mod overall. On a slightly anticlimactic note, thank you for watching Aurlyn Dawnstone, the Reclusive Philosopher, here on Skyrim Saturday. Right off the bat, I want to start by saying that I can tell how much time and effort went into this mod. The sheer amount of time it must have taken to write all of her conversations and dialogue, the amount of time that it would have taken for Darkrogue to voice all of it, since I would imagine the amount of takes it would have taken to get all the lines done properly, plus editing those lines, getting them set up for the conversation framework, and so on. It's a massive undertaking because in the end, we only explored a fraction of her conversations. You can ask her about her travels in each province, in the different continents. You can have entire philosophical debates with her. There's likely another 10 hours of conversations to be had, in addition to what I've shown off in only a handful of videos here. The voice acting quality and delivery was great, and to me, I found Orlin to be a fun character to speak to in some of these conversations as well. From a technical perspective, once again, the time that it took to make this must have been staggering. However, Sequencing and such for quests was a little inconsistent at times. I needed to use console commands to move the Atmora quest forward at all, and that was after numerous attempts of trying to get it to trigger properly without resorting to console commands. Partially because I did want to give the mod the benefit of the doubt and hoping that it would trigger properly on its own. I saw other people online say that they had trouble with this exact stage of the quest, so I know it's not specific to me. Similarly, with Serenity's quest, I spent more than half an hour waiting in-game, popping in and out of Sindarian's lab trying to see if she would spawn. Console commands crashed my game for most of anything pertaining to her quest, which, honestly, that was a first for me. Fortunately, we were still able to complete all of the other quest content in the mod, and I am glad for that. But there were several people online who noted that they were never able to find Serenity either, so I guess I fall into that camp. If you have played this mod and had better luck with finding her, I would love to hear your thoughts on her quest in the comments below. In terms of triggering Orlin's quest, I personally felt like the quest guide was a little bit of a necessity at times. It wasn't hard getting her reputation high enough to trigger the conversations, but I did feel like some of them were a bit specific. And if you weren't sure on how to start them already, I feel like they could easily be missed out on. I think it might be easier to trigger some of them a little bit more naturally should you play this over the course of a full playthrough, but at the same time, what are the odds that you'll just happen to dive into Orlin's dialogue submenu when you're at Honor Hall Orphanage? Unless you already know that's how to initiate the conversation about her daughter. Especially since there's not much that brings you to the orphanage in a playthrough, except maybe some light murder and maybe some adoption. I get why the conversation is triggered at the orphanage, I'm just saying I'm not sure how many people would come across it organically. Writing-wise, I think there are some people that will love this mod, and others who won't. And personally, I find myself a little bit split on where I stand. In terms of quest structure, Arlen's questline reminds me a little bit of what you might find in a BioWare game, where most of the quests involve getting to know the character and their past, and only after that do you have a more proper quest with them where you set off to bring closure to their past. But what I will say is, Orlin might be the most grandiose mod that I've ever played in terms of story, and if that's a positive or a negative will be up to the individual. Even when the mod first started out and she recounted being alive since the Merethic era, I was a little conflicted, as she was already coming across as a little overpowered. As we moved through her Atmora quest, it only continued to snowball for me, with her being able to bring an end to the Ice Age that encompassed Atmora for thousands of years, with a simple snap of her finger. Then having her recreate all of existence as we know it to escape the Godhead? Like I said, very grandiose. Lore-wise, with a simple thought, Orlin is able to change everything that has ever existed in the Elder Scrolls universe. If that's not a little overpowered, I'm not entirely sure what is. At the same time, I loved that we did get a mod that did touch on some of the deeper lore, such as the towers, the Godhead, and so forth, since I don't think a lot of people know about these, and I love getting to talk about them, helping people learn about the deeper lore, and so on. I'm probably a broken record when I say this, but writing in quest mods is something I consider to be subjective. While I'm not the biggest fan of the over-the-top nature of the mod's story, I know others who will be, and if nothing else, I honestly appreciate that the mod didn't always take itself too seriously by commenting on the fourth wall aspect and such. It had a good sense of humor and a good sense of levity, which I think helps to explain why the author made it so grandiose. And to end the review on a more positive note, one of my favorite parts of this was getting to ask Orlin about recent events, where she would explain the premise or even the start for different quest mods. It became a fun little bit of a riddle or trivia, where I would sit here and go, oh, she's talking about Dark End. She's talking about Beyond Reach, Grey Call of Nocturnal, and so on. There was something about the acknowledgement of so many other great quest mods out there that I really loved, and if nothing else, I think it shows the love that the author has for the modding community as a whole. But that is going to be it for this weekend here on Skyrim Saturday. Ultimately, Orlin is a mod that I've had suggested to me in the past, and I was glad that I was finally able to check it out. For the first time in a while now, I don't have any shortage of quest mods to play. There's actually a good 3 or 4 right now that I have lined up for the coming weeks, if not months, and I even had to figure out the best order to cover them in. So, we're gonna be eating good here on Skyrim Saturday for a bit. If you would like to see some non-Skyrim games, or just want to chat and shoot the shit, you can check out the streams at twitch.tv/0periodproductions. I always love talking about the behind-the-scenes aspect of being a content creator, and I think it works a little bit better in a more open format like a Twitch stream, where I can answer questions in real time. I'll see you guys next week here on Skyrim Saturday, and I can promise you this much. It's gonna be a good one.